Will Minkah Fitzpatrick struggle for the Miami Dolphins during the 2025 season? We're going to talk about the new safety in Miami. I am Nic Rohloff. This is Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. But he really isn't a new safety, right? He was drafted here and played a season and a half before being traded to the Steelers, and now he returns to the 305. And although Bleacher Report might speak a little bit down on Minkah today, I disagree. And I want to welcome Minkah back to Miami. So spam his initials, MF, down in the comment section to show some love for the former first-round pick who is making a return to the Dolphins organization. Show Minkah some love. The reason why I'm making this video is Bleacher Report put out an article about a player on every single NFL team that will turn out to be a bust during the 2025 season. And for the Miami Dolphins, Bleacher Report labeled the newest acquired player, Minkah Fitzpatrick. And I don't disagree whatsoever, but I figured I should hear him out to some degree. And here's what Christopher Knox said of Bleacher Report. Fitzpatrick is highly unlikely to flat out bust for the Dolphins in 2025. The five-time Pro Bowler is a quality starter who was on the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers in all 17 games last season. He'll need to play extremely well to bring a sense of balance to the exchange, and the 28-year-old simply hasn't been as impactful in recent years. Fitzpatrick just had one interception over the past two seasons and allowed an opposing passer rating of 127.6 in coverage last season. And I just want to say I couldn't disagree more. Not with the fact that he struggled last season in coverage. He did. We'll get to that here in a second. But the idea that he is not going to live up to expectations, I think, is a little bit ludicrous because I don't really think there is that high of expectations for Minkah returning to Miami. I don't think anyone is penciling him in as an all-pro safety for Miami. They just expect a high-level starter, and if he ends up making the Pro Bowl for the fourth straight season, that would be pretty nice. But there is just no world to me where Minkah Fitzpatrick ultimately busts for this football team, considering where this safety room was in the 2024 season. To me, Minkah is exactly what Miami needed in this safety room to replace Jevon Holland and Jordan Poyer from a year ago. We talked about so much throughout the season, early in the offseason before free agency, how you needed to switch up the safety room. Jevon Holland, the second-round pick from 2020, was very good in his first couple seasons in Miami. He just wasn't that good in the 2023 and 2024 season, and it's the reason why I was okay moving on from him. I mean, you see it. Out of all of the safeties that qualified in pass coverage snaps and run defense snaps, 65 and 55 respectively, Holland was in the bottom half in every single category in terms of being able to make plays. He had a QB rating 45th out of 65. Forced incompletion rate of 37th out of 65. Missed tackle percentage, which was the main issue with Jevon Holland. Yeah, you see it there. He ranked bottom 15 in the NFL when trying to tackle a player after giving up a reception. And then if you look over the run defense, he ranked bottom 5 in missed tackle percentage. Jevon Holland was not good whatsoever in 2024. He was a bottom half safety in the NFL. And I don't think Jordan Poyer was anything special either. Now, he was much more equipped to handle tackling. He actually had a top 20 missed tackle percentage out of all safeties in the entire NFL. So it's not like he missed a ton of tackles last season for Miami. His problem, he couldn't cover me if you put me on a football field. QB rating when targeted of 129.7, allowed 3 touchdowns and a completion percentage of 73.5%. Poyer really struggled in coverage last season. Jevon Holland really struggled making plays, bringing down opposing ball carriers. So it's like when you combine Poyer's inability to cover, and I just will never forget that game against the Cardinals where Trey McBride and Marvin Harrison Jr. just ended his career, it felt like, because he hasn't been signed by another team at this point. Poyer's inability to cover, Holland's inability to make a tackle, you needed to completely overhaul the safety room. And Miami simply did that. There is only one returning player from last year's safety room to this year's, and it's Elijah Campbell, who's a special teams ace for the most part. And I guess you could consider Patrick McMorris, but he never really played last season. So out of the safeties that saw the football field last year, basically none of them are back. You have a whole new room, which is exactly what this football team needed. Make sure you are subscribed as we continue to bring you daily coverage around the Miami Dolphins. We currently have 70,718 subscribers. Why not get to 70,750? So can we get 32 subscribers on today's show? I think we can. Dolphins coverage on the daily, and we'll have you covered every day during training camp, preseason, and the regular season. Minkah Fitzpatrick will provide you stability in this safety room. That is one thing that is almost guaranteed. You look back at the past 5 years for Minkah, he rarely misses games. The first times that he really ever missed football games was in 2023. He played in 10 games. We know that's been something Miami has struggled with in their secondary. A lot of people not being able to be on the football team at all times. But another reason why I think Fitzpatrick will provide stability is what I mentioned that Javon Holland couldn't do. Holland couldn't bring down opposing ball carriers. Minkah Fitzpatrick does it at an elite rate. He had a 10% or less missed tackle percentage in each of the last 3 seasons. That could not be better. He is as sure tackler as you can imagine. He's a top 20 tackling safety in the National Football League. You look back at the last 3 seasons, his tackling grade from Pro Football Focus and the missed tackle percentage you see on your screen was in the top 15 or top 20 of each statistical season. So this is a player that you can trust to come up and make a play in the middle of the field and not allow someone to break tackle and gain another 10, 15, 20 yards. That is why Minkah will be so impactful and an improvement from last season. And I do want to address this. And I do think Minkah Fitzpatrick will be an improvement for Miami in that back end, but I don't want to act like it was all roses last year. Bleacher Report pointed out how down of a season he had in coverage, and there's no doubt about that. He does bring a physical mindset to the back end of the defense, which I really like, as we kind of just mentioned with the tackling and not missing many games. But the coverage was rough last season. He had a completion percentage actually higher than Jordan Poyer, a QB rating higher than Jordan Poyer, and he gave up 5 touchdowns. It wasn't a pretty season in coverage for Minkah Fitzpatrick. As I mentioned, I am not going to try to sugarcoat that. Even though I think he will have a good season for Miami, I am not going to sit up here and tell you that he was amazing last season, because that was simply not the case. But if you follow historical data and historical trends, it's pretty safe to assume that you should not expect that type of season and coverage from Minkah Fitzpatrick again. If you just look at the entirety of his career, that was the worst season in his NFL career by a country mile. It really wasn't even close when thinking about the seasons that he's had prior. And I'll look at some of those seasons here in a second. But I have to tell you about this insane sale. $69. Oh, no. It's on sale for $29. $40 off when you go to chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. Not sure how long this sale is going to continue. Sizes are already starting to run out. I see them going down on the stock. So get used today. Links in the description and comments of today's video. One more time, chatsports.com/MIA hoodie. That was the worst season of his career. And I just don't think it's reasonable to expect that will happen again. Unless you fully believed he is cooked, he's washed, he's not going to be able to play anymore, which I don't think is really the case whatsoever. I'll talk more about it. But just look at the 2 seasons before this past year, in 2022 and 2023. Yeah, completion percentage under 70. 1 touchdown combined in the 2 seasons prior to giving up 5 last year. The 2022 campaign, where he was a top 3 safety in all of the NFL, he had 4 PBUs, 6 INTs, a QB rating of 72.3 when targeted. Minkah Fitzpatrick was unbelievably good for Pittsburgh in 22 and 23 in stopping the run. We showed the missed tackle percentage, but as well as in coverage. And it was just really 2024 where things fell off for him. And to me, I'm sorry, I just don't see a player when I watch his tape, watch his film, that will continue to be that poor in coverage. He will be solid. Do I think he's going to go back to his 2022 numbers when he was a top 3 safety in the entire NFL in both coverage and making plays in the run game? No, I think that player may be gone 3 years removed from that at this point. But he is still going to be an exceptional addition to this defense. To me, there's just no world where he is the biggest bust on this Dolphins roster. And I'm excited to see what his role is going to be for the Dolphins with Anthony Weaver. We know Weaver comes from that Baltimore Ravens type of scheme under Mike McDonald. And when you look at what they do in Seattle now and what they did in Baltimore, they like to have a bunch of versatile DBs, whether it's corners, whether it's safeties, move around the football field and be like chess pieces much more rather than just like stuck in your position. And I envision Minkah maybe being used slightly like a Kyle Hamilton. Maybe plays a little bit in the nickel, maybe in a little box, back deep is that free safety. The point is, Minkah Fitzpatrick is a versatile player himself, and I think he will be able to thrive in this type of system that Anthony Weaver employs because he is versatile and he likes to run so many different things. I think Minkah's in for a real bounce-back season. What say you? We're going to round out the show here in a second, but do you think Minkah Fitzpatrick will be a bust for the Miami Dolphins in 2025? Type Y if you think he will be. Type N if you think he will not. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. After initially feeling a little down on the safety room, obviously they made a couple key additions in the offseason. I think the safety room has serious potential for Miami to be a strong point of this defense. And when you think of what they have, it's a crowded, competitive room. It's arguably the most competitive room on the entire roster. Like Minkah comes in, he'll be a starter, but you signed Ifeatu Melifonwu and Ashton Davis in free agency, each to 1-year deal. You drafted Dante Trader Jr. in the 5th round. You have McMorris returning as that 6th-round pick from 2024. Elijah Campbell is back. You have an interesting UDFA and John Saunders Jr. Like, there is legitimately 7 guys on this team that I think are, like, capable of having a 53-man roster spot. Now, they will probably only keep 5. But the 2 players that I'm really interested in are the 2 people you signed in free agency. And I know we're talking about Minkah for the most part in this video, but coming into this offseason, if you didn't have to trade Jalen Ramsey, you probably weren't acquiring Minkah, which means you were going to have to rely on these 2 to be likely your 2 starting safeties. Davis coming over from the Jets, Melifonwu coming over from the Lions. And if you look back at 2024, Ashton Davis certainly had the better season. He also had the larger role, playing a little bit more for his respective team, under 10% mixed tackle percentage, QB rating of 73.7. Now, historically, Melifonwu is the better cover safety. Davis is more of that hybrid kind of run stopper cover guy. But Davis had a really strong 2024 season in his limited role for the New York Jets. And if we're going to really be honest about this upcoming season in the safety room, you just need one of those 2 to be solid because you'll have Minkah be your starting, like your number 1 safety. And if you could just get one of Davis or Melifonwu to be an average starter, well, then your safety room is going to be pretty good. And then the other is going to be that 3rd safety with then whoever you end up having as your depth safeties on special teams as well. Now, my money is on Ashton Davis because I think he fits more of that strong safety mold as Minkah's more of that free safety. But we know in this Weaver scheme, it doesn't really matter if you're a free safety or strong safety. All of them will be able to play so many different spots on the football field. But if you're just going traditional, I see Minkah at free safety. I could see Davis at strong safety. Melifonwu in on some 3 safety type of positions and schemes and I'm spacing on formations. That was the word that was escaping me. Like, I just see this safety room actually coming in very nice. And then you also have young contributors as well, like McMorris and Dante Trader Jr. potentially finding a role for themselves. That'll do it for this episode of Dolphins Today. Appreciate everybody for hanging out with us. If you made it to the end of the video, well, make sure you are subscribed. And if you aren't, why are you waiting so long to hit that sub button? Join the family here at Dolphins Today.